asked whether, in the years to come, it will be possible to kill 40 million American people in the 20 largest American towns by the use of atomic bombs in a single night. I am afraid that the answer to that question is yes.
The project that changed the world. During the 1940s, the world was racing to create the first atomic weapon. America started a project that would end World War II in a matter of only a few years. The Manhattan Project was designed to assist in the Allied victory of World War II. Created in 1942, the Manhattan Project would introduce the world to a different field of research that would affect many lives. Thesis. During World War II, the Manhattan Project broke the barrier of atomic research, allowing for many of the most important inventions in history. This research led to the Allies winning World War II and developing new life-saving inventions in the medical field. Unfortunately, this advancement also created a constant international fear of atomic weapons today. World War II and the struggle for victory. Nearing the end of World War II, fears started to arise of a nuclear weapon that was believed to have been worked on by German scientists since the 1930s. In response to these fears and more invasions from the Nazis, such as the 1939 invasion of Poland, American leaders decided to enter the race to build the first atomic bomb. Scientists interested in atomic research, including Albert Einstein and Leo Szilard, sent a letter to President Roosevelt to warn him of their fears that Germany may have been trying to build an atomic bomb. Other scientists who were assigned to study the use of uranium as a weapon concluded that these materials could be turned into weapons of mass destruction. These scientists included the Advisory Committee on Uranium, previously set up by Franklin D. Roosevelt as a result of the fears from Germany's atomic bomb. These groups of scientists working with the same interests and intentions were eventually put to the Manhattan Project. Many laboratories played key roles in the advancement of this project. Of these included labs where math and science research was done, others where that research was put to test in experiments at sites designed to handle the explosions. One major site of the Manhattan Project was Los Alamos, located in New Mexico. This site was home to many of the bomb tests performed during World War II. America's Manhattan Project was a group of the best scientists and thinkers of America put into one major project that would make or break the chance for an Allied victory during World War II. The Manhattan Project saved the world because it would have been a very bad sight to see when the other side would have continued to take over the world. American leaders selected Robert Oppenheimer, a physicist, to lead the Manhattan Project. Oppenheimer, sometimes called the father of the atomic bomb, would continue on to lead the Manhattan Project and the series of research that was associated with it. Robert Oppenheimer was a great leader, visiting the Manhattan Project sites to keep all of the work and research in order. Oppenheimer was not the only scientist of the Manhattan Project. There were roughly 130,000 scientists/physicists enrolled in the Manhattan Project nearing its peak, including Leo Szilard, Enrico Fermi, and Albert Einstein. These were only a few among many of America's greatest thinkers who came together to start and finish the race to build the first atomic bomb. Road to Victory. With the scientists at work in the Manhattan Project moving forward, Oppenheimer and the other leaders knew that there was a strict time limit for them to get all of the necessary work done, or else the project would fail. During this time, the United States would spend roughly $2 billion on the Manhattan Project, allowing for the correct sites and materials to be purchased. There were many bomb tests performed during the Manhattan Project, some of the most important in Los Alamos. On July 16th of 1945, the Trinity test was performed at the Trinity site. This test consisted of a nuclear device called Gadget, which was a plutonium implosion device like the Fat Man bomb dropped over Nagasaki later on. This experiment ended successfully with the explosion of the Gadget. The Trinity site in New Mexico was a huge success, advancing even closer to the end of the war. The devastated city. With all of the work done and the two bombs prepared for explosion, America was ready to end not only the atomic race, but also World War II entirely. These bombs were given to American military, whose job it was to be ready to drop them over the Japanese cities as a result of their refusing to surrender. The Japanese refused to surrender during World War II because of their beliefs that it would be an insult to their leader if they were forced to resort to surrendering during a war. On August 6, 1945, a B-29 heavy bomber plane named the Enola Gay took flight accompanied by various other planes with the intentions to drop the atomic bomb Little Boy over Hiroshima. Hiroshima was a target for the atomic bomb attacks because it had not been a victim to the previous typical bombings on Japan and was considered a suitable place to drop the bomb because it was also an important military base. The Enola Gay, along with other planes, flew until they reached their target near Hiroshima. They released the bomb at around 8:15 a.m. Hiroshima time, successfully aiming the bomb towards the city. Little Boy reached its height of explosion at around 1,968 feet above the city of Hiroshima. Approximately 43 seconds after being released from the Enola Gay bomber plane, the city of Hiroshima was demolished in only the slightest amount of time after the atomic bomb had exploded the city. The citizens and people of Hiroshima at the time of the attacks had almost no way of knowing that their lives would soon be completely destroyed. The people were devastated, their city was destroyed, and many of them were trapped under debris or caught in some type of injury such as major burns and broken bones. As if the direct injuries from the explosion were not enough, the radiation from materials like uranium used to make the bomb explode would continue after the explosions to essentially poison the people of Hiroshima. This would become a major problem with radiation-related diseases. Destructing Nagasaki. Shortly after the bombing of Hiroshima in Japan, word was received that the Japanese had continued to refuse their surrender and persisted to hold their stance in the war. The people of Japan were all but satisfied with these decisions, although their beliefs agreed with holding their positions. They had seen what the first atomic bomb had did to Hiroshima, and they were frightened of what may be coming to them next. These fears proved rational when only a few days following, America had set up a mission to drop a second bomb named Fat Man over the city of Nagasaki, Japan. Again, this bomb showed similar effects as the Little Boy bomb dropped over Hiroshima. Nagasaki was demolished and its citizens suffered similar injuries as the victims of Hiroshima. With new research in the atomic age, it was still unbelievable how much destruction had come from these two weapons, but the results, although devastating in Japan, were a huge success for America and its allies. A lasting project. The Manhattan Project caused great devastation and destruction in Japan, especially the two bombed cities, and left many citizens without homes, missing family members, or even poisoned. Although these are bad ways to look at the effects of the bombs, there are many positive results from the Manhattan Project. The research on radiation and certain materials was able to be put to the medical field through many old and new inventions. X-rays were able to be improved through this knowledge, and new machines used to scan patients were created. These inventions are things that would lead on to save many lives and improve many others. Another more obvious effect of the Manhattan Project was the Allied victory of World War II after Japan was forced to surrender in order to keep their citizens safe. Although the victory meant it was a time to celebrate the work of the tons of scientists involved in the Manhattan Project, many of the scientists were beginning to have a realization. Many of the major scientists who had taken part in the hard work necessary to make the atomic bombs began to realize how many lives and how many families had been damaged from the monster they had created. In fact, Robert Oppenheimer, after finished with his work on the Manhattan Project, realized the devastation he had caused and argued that the advancement of the atomic bombs should not be continued, and resigned the same year. Apparently defying Oppenheimer's argument, the whole world had continued to advance in their stock of nuclear and atomic weapons. Through these advancements, the world is in a state today where these weapons of mass destruction appear to be a constant threat because there are many of them that could destroy our cities like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but worse.
I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.